BTS camera.
Is it in the way?
Maybe in the.
A camera speed. B camera speed. Dark. All right, here we go. Eric likes a bowl of red. A cam. B cam. So just in case the. All right, sir. Well, if you are ready, then I declare action.
Okay, well, I've had, I don't know, a lot of people ask me if I was ever going to do some sort of a cooking type deal. I'm not saying that anybody requested that. I'm just saying that I've had a lot of people ask me if I was ever going to. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do one. And this is kind of a special thing that we're going to be doing today because I am going to be making my dad's well-known famous chili. When I was growing up, my dad he had a few things that he would make, but one that was really well-known was his chili. And he would make a huge pot of it, and it wouldn't be uncommon to come home from school or baseball practice and have just random kids sitting around in my house eating chili, just loading it up. Sometimes I didn't even know who these kids were. Anyway, so what we're gonna do today is we're just gonna make some basic chili, and I'm following the exact recipe that my dad gave me. If Tracy was here, there would be the organic, gluten-free, whatever chips, but we're gonna do like, you know, old school Fritos. We're doing everything, the absolute basic, what you can go and get at Kroger. So let's get started. By the way, I also want to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I do, especially because of the pandemic, I've been doing a lot of cooking, but I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of winging it. And I think that's just kind of how we should do things, right? Do something even if it's wrong, and eventually you'll get a little bit better at it. So I'm just gonna follow a recipe. And so this is not going to be any type of a cooking show because I don't know what I'm doing. So recipe, we've got 1 pound. This is a recipe that Dad gave me. I asked him specifically for it. He typed this up and sent this over to me on email. I guess it was about 5 or 6 years ago. So first thing is 1 pound of ground bison. Now he specifically put bison on there instead of ground beef because he knows that Tracy prefers bison over ground beef. So I have both. I have the bison, but I'm going to go old school and do it the way that Dad made it when we were growing up. So I am going to go ahead and stick with the ground beef today. And we'll save the bison for Tracy when she gets back. Make her a bison burger or something like that. All right, so we got 1 pound ground bison. Luckily for me, this comes in exactly a 1 pound package. I didn't have to figure anything out. 1 29-ounce can tomatoes, diced. This is 28 ounces. That's really, really close. And also, this is the recipe, but you know, rules are kind of made to be fudged a little. So play around with things, especially like spices and stuff like that. So we got the diced tomatoes. We got 2. I'm at this age now. We've got 2 16-ounce chili hot beans. Well, that's what we have. I got 3. I've got kidney beans, I've got black beans, and I've got pinto beans. By the way, when we decided to make this, I called Tom Moore, who I've worked with. He's one of the best DPs, one of the best directors of photography in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And also, next step for me is always to call Rebecca Moore. Rebecca, say hi.
Hi.
So if I've got 3 cans, I'm only going to use 2. I've got pinto, black beans, and I've got kidney beans. Which of those 2 would you prefer?
Beans?
All right, we'll go with beans. You heard it straight from Rebecca. All right, and we got 1 medium to large green bell pepper. and 1 medium to large onion. I'm going to chop that up. And then we're going to get to it. First thing is cut up the bell pepper, chunky. Cut up the onion, chunky. My dad was very specific. He likes the onion and the bell pepper to be chunky.
I like chunky.
You like it chunky? Because sometimes if you cook it up too much, maybe it kind of gets lost in the sauce. So that's what we're going to do. Already washed the bell pepper. And again, I don't know what I'm doing, but I did watch a video on how to cut a bell pepper, and maybe I've been doing it wrong all these years. But Chef Gordon Ramsay says to cut the stem off and then just cut around the seeds, and then you don't have a whole bunch of seeds just flailing all over the place. Now this is going to be edited, so all of the boring parts are going to be cut out. So hopefully we're not going to have a 45-minute video. When I first started cooking, one of the things that I was scaredest about was chopping of the vegetables, because I watch a lot of Food Channel, a lot of Food Network, and when they start going through the process of cooking, especially whenever they're under the clock, they're always so fast. And so for some reason, I've always felt like I needed to be really fast whenever I cut my vegetables. I'm not going to go for fast. I'm going to go for accurate, because with me, fast may be minus a pinky.
I prefer no pinkies in my chili.
Yeah, we're not going to put any pinkies in the chili. When I first time I started cooking, again, I don't know what I'm doing, but the way that the whole thing actually very first started, I was in the Navy, and one of the guys that I worked with, Mark Anderson, he and his wife just had a baby, and I was living on the ship, and we would do anything that we can do to get off the ship, especially whenever we're in port. Well, Mark and his wife just had a baby, and I would volunteer to go and babysit so that they could actually go and have a night out. And a couple of times I volunteered to kind of cook dinner for them. And it ended up being that if I would cook dinner for them, then I could come over and get off the ship. So it was a great way to kind of get off the ship. And at the same time, I was learning. I don't know that I was learning anything, but I was practicing doing some cooking. And I also watched a video not very long ago on chopping onions, dicing onions. So this is my first attempt at doing that technique. So let's hope that that works. Just like in life, we all have layers. So we'll take the ugly layers off of the onion. Now, this is the first time I've done this, so let's see if this thing works. What I've heard is that you hold it pressed really tight, and you come in, and you don't go all the way through. You just go almost all the way through. Almost. And then you cut, and then you turn it over, and you come down like this. And again, when you keep it on the little end there, is going to hold it all kind of together. And onions naturally have these layers. So if you do it right, in theory, we should get a whole bunch of cut onions. And again, we're going to keep it fairly chunky. Another thing that I've recently learned is that when you have a cutting board, if you get the kind that has these little grooves These are not just for decoration. They actually catch some of the overflow, so you don't get stuck with onions on the floor and then walking around and getting it with your bare feet. All right. What did I do? Oh, I forgot. We got an elbow in the shot.
Yeah, camera, elbow. She's an actor. She can't help herself.
Are you doing some elbow acting, Rebecca?
Yes.
Drawn into the frame.
You drawn into the frame? All right. All right, cool. So theoretically, we should have chunky onions. So I just got ahead of myself and cut off the end that was kind of holding it all together. So, and again, I don't know what I'm doing, but after 3 or 4 more tries of cutting onions, I may actually look like I have a plan a couple times from now. So it's a matter of just kind of diving in and doing it, right? Okay, so we now have our onions and our bell peppers chopped. Okay, can you hand me that dish soap? Perfect. Okay, put bell pepper and onion together in a large skillet with just enough water. Let me hold this up here. Put bell pepper and onion together in a large skillet with just enough water to cover them. Bring to a boil and then simmer until tender. All right, so we're going to drop this into the skillet, and we're going to put just some bell pepper and onion into the large skillet with just enough water to cover them. Then we're going to bring it to a boil, and we're going to simmer until tender. All right. So here comes the bell pepper and the onion. All right, this over here. And mix this up a little bit with our freshly cleaned hands. Rear. And we're going to get this up to temperature. And Dad says to put just enough water to cover them. So let's see how this is. And the goal is to not necessarily incorporate the water into the chili, but it's to cook the onions and the bell peppers. But we will use the water at some point. All right, so we're going to cover that so that way we can get it up to temperature and let that simmer for a little bit. Next step is this cutting board in the way? Let me move this out. Okay.
Well, I can put it in the shot, but it's fine.
It's in the.
It's fine. If I go down and look at it with the camera, then it's in the shot. That's fine.
When you have Tom Moore and Rebecca come over and to do a taping, we're not doing just your basic iPhone stuff. We've got a set going on here, so we got to make sure that it stays within what the cinematographer and set deck say. All right, next up is. All right. Bring to a boil, then simmer till tender. Got that? At same time of cooking the bell pepper and onion, heat in a large pot the diced tomatoes and chili hot beans. So we're going to do, we have 3 options of beans. I was going to narrow it down to 2, and Rebecca said that she wants beans. We can do that. right. Diced tomatoes. Going in. Now, sometimes on the tomatoes, you can get them spicy, but we're going to be adding a little bit of Rotel in there later, which actually has the chili peppers. So there will be a little bit of spice. And I'll talk a little bit more about the Rotel later, but basically they have different flavors of the Rotel. You can get the chipotle, you can get the extra spicy, and I typically like a lot of spice, but today we're just going old school. We're doing the old school way.
What do you do for people who don't like beans in their chili?
That's a good question, because especially in Texas, well, really everywhere in the South, there's a debate on whether or not there's a debate about whether or not beans belong in chili. I have a theory on that. If chili is a standalone dish, then beans absolutely. But if you're going to put chili on top of a hot dog, or if you're going to have a chili burger, then you don't need the beans. But if you're going to go at it with a spoon, yes, put the beans in there. Give us some little extra protein. Give yourself something to chew on. All right, keep these on. And I know people out there were thinking, are you going to stir that around and turn the fire on? I mean, okay, I can. All right, so at the same time of cooking the bell pepper and the onion, heat in a large pot the diced tomatoes and chili hot beans. Boom. When the bell pepper and onion are tender, we'll get to that whenever they're tender. All right. And thanks to Movie Magic, we'll probably edit some of this out so that we're not watching. You know, the only thing worse than watching paint dry is watching bell peppers and onions simmer, right?
Watch pot never boils.
That's right. Wash pot never boils. Everybody close your eyes. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to get a head start on what's going on next. Just to get a head start so we can be prepared. When the bell pepper and the onion are tender, save them in a medium mixing bowl. So let's get our medium mix. When bell pepper and onion are tender, save them and the water in a medium mixing bowl. So let's get our medium mixing bowl.
Can you say that 10 times fast?
Can I say medium mixing bowl 10 times fast? I don't know if I can even say 10 times fast, 10 times fast. Okay, so we'll have this handy right here. And we've kind of passed this chili recipe around. My brother David, I know, used to make it, and he would always change it up depending on what the mood would be. But this is the basic foundation for the chili. This is the way that we had it growing up. And there's always going to be some, play around with it. Seriously, just play around. Anytime you're doing any cooking, play around. That's where the fun is. Add something that you haven't thought of before. When I was having a breakfast casserole, an egg casserole for breakfast over at my mother-in-law's, at Tracy's mother's house, and she has it was so good. And I asked, well, what do you put in your eggs that makes them so good? Mustard. She puts mustard. She puts dry mustard in her eggs. I'd never thought about doing that. So I try it. Sure enough, it's a game changer. Something that we hadn't thought of before. So when you're cooking, especially if it's like soups or stews or chili, play around with some different spices. I remember one friend growing up, Brian Camp, one of my friends growing up, his brother Glenn would put cinnamon in their chili. I'm not gonna say whether I loved it or hated it, but it was a take. I mean, it was something. You know, I mean, why not?
How
So,
diplomatic.
how diplomatic.
Just in case you're watching out there, Brian.
Yeah, but you know, but trying it. I mean, what if it's the greatest thing ever? What's the worst that can happen? You get a little cinnamon in your chili. You know, it's a metaphor for whatever.
A metaphor for whatever.
Okay, so let's see how we're doing on the simmer situation. All right, getting close, getting close.
So did you watch your dad when he made chili, or was it always just ready when y'all came home from baseball practice?
I remember watching, but I didn't really pay close attention. It was something that kind of just happened. You know, I'm going to make chili, and we would get excited, and then a little bit later, chili's ready, and we would just kind of dive in. But I did not throw on my little baby apron and stand next to him on a step stool trying to figure out what was going on. It happened. But there were a few things that we did do that I helped with. We would do donuts. We would make homemade donuts. We would get biscuits. You know, little camera. You pop them. It was my job, or I got to be the one to pop the biscuit thing open. It would, right, and whop the biscuits. And we had this little tool. It was actually made for. It was a metal cylinder that you would fill it full of, I think like icing, and then you would like a big fat syringe. But we used it because it had the little thread on the end. We'd use it to. It was a perfect size to go into the biscuit. Kind of give it one of these, and you pull it out, and you got the donut hole stuck in the cylinder, and then you got a biscuit with a hole in it. And then we would. I may get this wrong, but we would put that in oil and fry it, and then we would have 2 paper bags. One would be full of powdered sugar, and the other one would be with cinnamon and sugar. And you know, we take the donut holes or take the donuts, whatever they're done frying. You know, you let them fry, then you flip them over, and then you put them in the oil and put them in the bag, and you just shake, shake, shake. Next thing you know, you've got donuts. So I did help with that.
I'm thinking that's the next video, cooking video. Yeah.
What, donuts?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So let's see how we're doing on the tenderness of the onions and bell pepper. That's money right there. It's perfect. Okay. So let's go back over to our handy dandy recipe and see what we're supposed to do. All right. When the bell pepper and onions are tender, save them and the water in a medium mixing bowl. So we're going to do that. Okay. All right, you want to help me on this?
Sure.
Well, I need some extra hands. Just hold. All I need you to do is hold the bowl
He's gonna
away.
I trust
And
you.
I know.
Look with
Hang
a
on.
boiling liquid in it.
I
And
trust you, Eric.
hang on.
Don't worry, it'll be great. What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, hang on. Tell you what we're gonna do. How about this?
There.
Again. And so again, back with learning. So again, back to learning as you go. I know that next time I'm making the chili, to have Rebecca come over with some leather gloves, and she can be the official holder of the bowl. All right. right, there we go. Set this down. Set it over here. I'm going to turn the heat down on the beans a little bit because we don't want to burn that. We just wanted to get them up to temperature. So now the liquid is hot. I'm going to give it a quick stir and turn the temperature down. And let's see what's next. All right, heat a little vegetable oil in a skillet. So clean skillet. We're going to come back over and we're going to have a little bit of vegetable oil. Actually, I don't have vegetable oil. We have olive oil and we have grapeseed oil. Hi. So one thing about the grapeseed oil is it doesn't have a, sometimes olive oil can change the flavor a little bit. Grapeseed oil doesn't, and it also you can cook it at higher temperatures if you were needing to. So I'm going to go a little grapeseed oil. So heat a little vegetable oil in the skillet and add the ground meat. When it's still a little pink, drain the grease so that we know when to cook that too.
It is already smelling wonderful in here.
Smells good, I know. Let me,
Art department.
art department,
Got some scissors.
again, I do. All right.
You know, Bobby Flay has somebody do that for him beforehand.
Does he? Bobby Flay's got it like that. All
We
right.
don't need no Bobby Flay. We
Wait.
got Eric Hansen.
Beat Eric Hansen.
Cooking Calvin Hansen's famous chili.
Right, and it's kind of like making sausage. You don't necessarily need to know how it's made. So through the glory, through the beauty of movie magic, and again, sometimes whenever we're making this, we'll do the ground bison because that's Tracy doesn't eat a lot of red meat, but one of the things that she loves is a good bison burger. It's really lean, and whenever we go to have something healthy or try to stay towards healthy, we'll play around with the bison. So right now we're just kind of chopping this up. Right now we're just breaking this up a little bit. It doesn't have to be super fine. You want to have a little chunk to it, and you also don't want to to go past pink at this point. You want it to have a little bit of pink left to it. You don't want to completely cook it. Turn the temperature up just a little bit. All right, so that's broken up pretty well. So I'm going to let that sit for just a second. Oh, that smells good. And just to get next step is going to be add the ground meat. While it's still a little pink, we're going to drain the grease and we're going to put the meat back into the skillet. We're going to do that later on. And then we're going to add the bell pepper and the onion to the meat. Bell pepper and the onion to the meat. Sprinkle the chili mix over the water. Okay, cool. All right, so all we're doing right now is just letting the meat brown just a little bit. And then we're going to add the water and the onions and the bell pepper into it.
So y'all had 4 guys in the house? They're getting food fights?
Do we ever get in food fights? No, we didn't get in food fights, but I will tell you, if there was one slice of cake left, Dad would say say if it was Mike and David, I remember him once saying, "Okay, there's one slice of cake left. David, you can cut it." And David goes and cuts the cake. And Dad knew that he wasn't going to cut it in equal halves, and so he said, "David, you can cut the cake." And after he did it, of course, there's about an 80-20 ratio. Then Dad said, "All right, Mike, now you get to choose which slice you want." Fairness.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a few recipes that Dad would make. Maybe next time I might make. Dad used to make this Mexican chicken casserole that was just ridiculously good too. So, depending on how this goes, we may do that next. All right, so this is brown with a little bit of pink. You can see that there's still a little bit of pink left. It's not quite cooked just yet. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the water along with the peppers and the onion. Going to add that right in there. And we're going to give this a quick stir. Okay, still got the heat on. Okay, and while that is simmering, add the bell pepper and onion back to the meat. We did that. Sprinkle the chili mix over the meat, and then add the Rotel to the meat and bell pepper and onion. All right, so we're going to add the chili powder, or the chili mix, and the Rotel. Now, growing up, we had a grocery store down the street. It's called the Mad Butcher, and I remember they always had the McCormick's. And growing up, just having McCormick's in your spice rack was just, I thought that's just how everything was. So we've got the powder going in here. Give that a quick stir just to moisten it, and we'll come back to that in a second. And again, we're using just your basic Rotel, but Rotel has a variety. You can get some that's really hot, you can get some that's just like lava hot, or you can get Chipotle, but this is the good old-fashioned classic. So we're gonna go right in here. It's everything. Oh, mix this around real nice. Oh, come here and smell this. Get down in there, smell that.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
The studio audience is going to be having some nice lunch.
Yeah, that's one of the promises that I made to Tom and Rebecca, is that when we're done, we're going to eat well, and then they're going to get to take the leftovers home with them.
He told me only after he saw the footage would I get to eat.
Yeah, if the footage looks good, then if that was the case, knowing Tom Moore, if the footage was good, that means that I'll be making him some more on another day too. So, Tom Moore and good footage just go together like
Chili and beans?
like beans in the chili.
It seemed an appropriate metaphor.
Yeah, that was perfect. All right, so we're going to turn this down a little bit more. All right. So basically, at this point, we got your peanut butter and your jelly. We're about to make it into a sandwich once the meat is ready to go, and then just kind of let it simmer and all kind of marry together. And then at that point, take a few tastes, see if there's something that you think might be missing. One time I added a little bit of extra cumin, which is a chili type spice. Sometimes I'll add red pepper flake, sometimes some cayenne if I really want to get it going. All right. So we're just going to let that simmer for a little bit. And we'll get a head start on the finish off the rest of the recipe. Add the mixture, okay, and then once the meat's brown, we can probably edit through this because I'm just repeating myself. We'll heat it together until blended. All right. And when we were talking about doing this little video, I'm not a cook. I don't know, so don't follow any of my techniques or anything because I don't have any techniques. But I wanted to be able to show mistakes, screw ups, the whole, warts and all, because, well, I'm mostly warts.
Oh,
But it's gonna taste good. All right. So now that meat is all the way done. There's no pink left in the meat. So
Ooh, that looks good.
yeah, I'm on a close-up shot. I can practically taste it.
Yeah.
okay. So let's stir this around. Turn this off. We'll stir this around and kind of see where we're at. And the thing about chili, and we all know this, is that sometimes it's better the next day. The longer all the flavors kind of marry together, the better the overall taste is. But let's just see where we're at while it's in its baby chili stage.
So is he saying you're tastier when you're married?
I think so.
I think so. Come here. Come here, Tom.
The official on-set taste test.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
All right. It's hot though.
That's the idea.
Mmm.
There you go, boy. There you go.
Money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
You got that. Eric makes a bowl of red, part 2. Part 2. Part 2. Part 2. Part 2. Oh, God, how many cameras do we have on this set? All right.
I hope we're recording. That's what we need. We need a shot of Tom and his clapper.
Yeah.
This, there we go, bring it in, and focus, stand by. And, actually, could you, the glasses just to the side, you got a big glare in for him. Could you just turn them a little bit? Perfect. All right, action.
All right. Through the beauty of movie magic, we have finished everything and we are setting up our mise en place, which is, for us, it's going to be a little cheddar cheese. I also have some scorpion pepper hot cheese, jalapenos, and saltines, because I know a lot of people like saltines with their chili. I'm a Fritos guy, so that's what I'm going to go with. So, okay, so I can give this one final stir. Now we let this simmer for about 25 minutes. So all the flavors are now They've come together as one. They've married. So we are ready to go. So it's time for, it is time for crew meal.
Woo!
All right. My hands are clean. Rebecca, are you a Fritos saltines? Or
Fritos for me,
okay.
definitely.
All right.
Fritos.
Tom, are you Fritos saltines or are you just a purist?
I'll do the Fritos. I don't usually
Okay.
do the Fritos.
Well,
That's something new.
this is the way that I grew up having it, so I'm happy that we're all doing that. So you start off with just some Fritos. Then I'm going to do one at a time. Let's go with, there's always the right tool for the job, so we're going with a ladle.
Now you get all the good stuff in there.
Exactly. Plus, with a ladle, you can get this angle on it rather than just a big scoop and spoon. So we're going to get you some juice right in here. So this is going to be Rebecca's. Do you want cheddar cheese?
Cheddar cheese.
All right. All right. Do you want any jalapenos?
No, thank you.
All right.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
I'm getting ahead of the curve.
Oh, we're getting there.
You don't have to ask any
So
questions.
here you go.
Woo! A steaming hot bowl.
Steaming hot.
Steaming hot bowl of chili.
All right, and this one's for Mr. Tom Moore. So here goes the good stuff, plus a little bit of the juice, and you know, gets the Fritos that perfect place, that razor's edge between crispy and kind of soggy. That's the good spot. All right, would you like the ghost pepper cheese? Would you like cheddar?
I'll go with ghost pepper. Why not?
All right.
We're making it a fire-filled day.
All right. There it is. Here you are, sir.
You just set it down right here, and you know I'm going to get the shot. Oh, there we go.
Ah.
That's how it works. Hey, let's put the sponge in the back of my shot.
Wait a second. Here, I can set that down again. We don't want that there. All right. Ghost pepper. Hang on. All right. Got your spoon.
Gotcha.
Got your ghost pepper. All right, and here you are, Mr. Tom Moore. Set deck will be happy that I'm moving this out of the way.
Sweet.
All right. I'm gonna go with.
A little bit of everything.
I'm going to go with a little bit of everything. We're gonna go with that. We'll go with the rest of the cheddar.
It saves in cleanup later.
Yeah.
I'll just finish that off.
That's hilarious. All right. Are we even still rolling, or are we just?
We'll catch,
We're not even worried about the camera.
we'll
Just
catch
go at it.
whatever we catch. I got shots everywhere.
All right.
Calvin, this is for you. Mmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm. That's the right amount of spicy too. Oh yeah, there it is. I love it. I love it. I love it. You want enough so that it grows on your tongue, and then hangs there for a minute and slowly. It's beautiful.
Well,
Beautiful stuff.
there you have it. This is Calvin Hansen's famous chili, done by me. He's winging it.